Christmas means to me, my love. Christmas means to me, my X, and B, Z, X, N, W, T. I think that's right. Oh, that was not right. And what? Alright, let's push on. Alright, that's cool. Don't want a pen. B, Z, X, N, W, T. Did that work? Alright, Tusk gave me a bad code. Well, that was a bad map anyway. Really bad map anyway. Alright, guess we wait for all Chuckle Fox to get in here. Christmas means to me, my love. No, that's not it. Option. Guess I don't have it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Let me get a mic check if you can hear me. We're waiting to start. Give me a second. Okay, go ahead and accept that. Oops. Well, I guess we'll start there. And we go there. Yo. Christmas made me mad. Oh, I forgot to add 10. Whoops. My bad, my bad. Tusk, are you in here? Okay, I see. I've added both of them, but... Oh, no, I can get Jet in here. Waiting for the day that they add, but my mic's gonna be on for both the stream and for this. I'll ask questions and or say stuff, and you guys just respond. So, so I guess before we really go deep into this, there's the discussion on how we want to proceed with comps relative to general meta / comfort of what we want to play. I think that obviously the main two at the moment, I don't know about these nerfs and buffs that came in, how much will be affected, but for both, at least for tank, it's most likely Hog, Doom, might be able to throw Orisa in there every once in a while. But for the most part, that'll be the meta tanks. Um, and I guess through that, it's kind of dependent on everything else for the most part. Again, under the assumption that meta doesn't change based off the buffs and nerfs, it'll be Lucio Kiriko probably throughout. Potentially swapping in an Ana. And then based off the Ana swap, I think DPS might be affected as well. um, so I guess how we start is which tanks do we want to run? With Tusk being in, we can run both since he is going to be mostly the Doom and Hog player. Um, so it's really up to you guys which one we want to shoot for.
Want to run Reinhardt?
Say it again. Well, since it seems like 10 and Studio are the only ones that are actually going to be here, which do you think we should be running? Which feels better? Which do you think we have the most success on, etc.?
So one thing with the Hog pick is it's like 90% Reinhardt. Well, okay. Well, I like Reinhardt. Yeah, with the Hog, it's like our DPS have to be dipping the other DPS.
How do you figure?
Just based off the way we play Hog, it definitely feels like our DPS have to do everything.
Okay.
How do you figure? Just based off the way we play Hog, it definitely feels like.
Yo, y'all want to like mute the stream? Sorry, it's I can just hear my own voice and I hate it. Anyway, I'm not sure that if we play the Hog, it needs to be diffed as much. I think the comp inherently is still less about individual mechanics and popping off, winning your duel, than it is the actual team element of it. I think because most of these, I mean, yes, the Tracer can play as both, but mostly she is more mechanical. I think the Sojourn, scratch that. So me and Tuss did talk about this last night about him potentially needing to change his playstyle for Hog, which we will look over once we get to the maps that he did play Hog on and see if that does need to be changed. I personally think it does because, at least from what I've seen in some of his gameplay in other maps in scrims in the past, it was almost not just a Hog playstyle, but overall tank playstyle of how the game used to be played and how it can't be played currently. So, for example, one of the things he was doing quite often was before we push in, he was feeding for alt charge for our supports, so that before we go in, we'd have either a boost, like let's say if we were running Ana, we'd have nano boost, or we'd have a higher, we would be pretty close to having nano boost, that kind of thing. Being that there's one less tank in the game that can't be played as much, the game has sped up drastically more than what it did, with having 5 now instead of 6. So it just needs to be. That's one playstyle, just an example of something playstyle wise that he needs to change. And he seems it's in terms of his Hog, it's more. At least this is my belief that he is definitely more resource heavy in how he plays the Hog and kind of solo. So Overwatch 1 solo tank, not Overwatch 2 solo tank, because obviously you're the solo tank. But Overwatch 1 solo tank where he was going, not going on more flanks, but being more aggro because he either knows he's going to get away. It thinks he's going to get away with it, being that he's in that Overwatch 1 mindset, but it's actually Overwatch 2, and he won't be able to get away with it as much. um, that being said, I think between the Doom and the Hog, personally, I think there's things on both sides that need to be worked on before um, either comp can be said that'll be better than the other. Specifically in the Doom comp, Focus Fire. Our Focus Fire is absolute garbage, and it's everyone's just taking their own duel, doing their own thing a lot of the time. Mecha Base actually seemed to be our Focus Fire was a little bit more clean, especially when looking at the rest of the maps when we go through them. That it wasn't quite as clean. So the goal of this VOD review is to basically go through and macro and trying to coach better positioning within the comp, how we should engage, what ults we should be using, that kind of thing, as well as if we want and somebody has an idea for a pocket strat or pocket comp, pocket play, etc., that we talk about it and then potentially do that in our next scrim. Other than that, I think we should be good to go. Ours team is on left. Theirs is on right. I will be slowing back and forth and pausing as needed. I usually start on a 0.75 speed. So first we take left side. That's weird. Okay. Okay. We got a great first starting pick. We all start to rotate. Okay, see, just like that, Tusk goes in on the back, and the rest of us are still focused on either their Tracer or their Doom when he eventually jumps out. We're taking space by Tusk going in, we're starting to move forward, and we still have that one pick. So I think whenever the Doom tries to punch in, we should look to counterpunch when he's getting within our team. So that basically means he launches the punch, we launch punch like a second or two later so that he stops right where this orb is, kind of thing. So that he's an easier pick. If we can do that every time, then that's always a +1 that we're getting at the start of the fight. So we go a little slow here. They do have the respawns back. 10, I think you could rotate a little bit more over here instead of playing that left side. And our Sojourn and Lucio just need to be wary of where you're playing. Great pick, great pinch. Okay, we come back up. I was about to say, he was really out of position. Yep, we just go hard, we go in. Fuck.
Not so fast.
Seeing where we all are right now. So, a common problem that we saw throughout the maps was that their Tracer was kind of just getting free value in our backline, as well as not this round or map in particular, but seemed to be more synced up with the Doomfist going in on these dives. Currently, we're really split all over the place. I mean, obviously, we traded Tracer and Sojourn here, but I think once we trade like that, if Tusk sees the Doomfist over here without using Meteor Strike, Tusk should try to jump back to help our supports. But what do you guys think about answers to the Doom or the Tracer coming in? This is where you unmute and talk now.
Give me 1 second. The stream went down for me. I'm trying to fix it.
You're good. Okay, but we're obviously not running Hog.
Meteor strike.
Let's just see how this plays out. Okay, we focus Doom. Good. Next focus should be this Lucio.
This is your warning.
Okay, 10. I don't know where you were, but why was our Doom so low?
Meteor strike.
Such an angle, sorry.
This is your warning.
Okay, so he was just getting focused, that's all. Okay, with them using Rush, I think with us being a man up, it's safe to say that we don't need to use amp out, amp speed to get out. We can instead just mirror their ult and should be able to win the fight based off that with some focus fire. Okay, instead we beat. Should save. Unlucky that we didn't get the beat. Focus fire should be on the Kiriko. Where is Tusk? He didn't die, did he? Oh shit, he did. Okay. We just keep dying on point here. Okay, he died.
Hey there.
Alright, so what do we do wrong? With the ults that we have, we're probably going to have to trade out support ults again. They have Pulse and they have Overclock. So with Overclock, I think with the comp that we're running, how it used to be was the Monkey would primal and go after the overclocking Sojourn just to, I mean, one, to keep her from getting value, not being able to one-shot, etc. But also just displace her away from the team. However, we can't exactly do that. So I think probably best bet would just be to hard engage with the Doom and just a full-on hard dive onto it. I don't... If we had beat, I'd say we use beat, but we don't. So we either... Yeah, she just has to be the main focus instead of having to save any ults for her. Also, when we have a charged up punch, we should probably be focusing on whatever we punch. And calling out that we have a charged punch. That stun is still long enough that we can focus a good amount of damage onto it. We get the great first pick onto the Tracer. We use Kiriko ult. They pop beat. They use Pulse. Okay, this is good. We trap the Doom over here.
This ends.
Good. Okay, we're all focused on the Lucio. Get the Lucio. Kiriko.
Cybernetics regulating.
I think this. Did we get the cap? Yeah, okay. Alright, so we handled that pretty well. We used Kiriko ult first to engage. Doom tries to go in to disrupt. We punch him back into our team, focus fire him, and we get the great first pick off onto the Tracer as well. Something that oh, that's the one way I thought of the other day. So anytime that the Doom does come in and hard engages with the Tracer, I think we can just peel off the Tracer with the Lucio or Suzu, or just a little bit of focus fire pressuring her out. For at least for our backline and our Sojourn, I think the Doom and the Tracer can both still go on to the Doom when he hard engages. So like if it's a hard dive with the Doom and the Tracer, let's say in this example, Tracer, let's say, somehow finds a way behind, goes on to the Lucio, the Doom comes in as well. We boop the Lucio, force focus fire onto the Doom. So mainly that would be from the Tracer and our Doom, forcing him to use block. When he uses block, if we have pulse, we should always be throwing it on him. Most of the time, that's either going to force him to get out, it's either going to force Suzu, it's an easy target to stick, it's going to force his Meteor Strike, and just overall that's inherent value for a pulse. Either you're trading out a big CD like Suzu, you're trading out his ult, etc. Now for the Tracer, like I said, since they're both going on the Lucio, that would mean that Convinced and 10 would be peeling for our Lucio. I guess a better example would be if 10 and Jet's positions were swapped, and they go on our Kiriko might throw Suzu down, or if Jet's close enough, he can speed wall ride over and boop the Tracer back, look to put in a couple shots in her, as well as Sojourn looking to put some shots in her as well. I think the rest of the team's focus, again, shouldn't have to be on the Tracer. If we have Pulse, it should be on the Doom. Okay. Unlucky. So most of us. Oh, this was the bad call to force. Everyone goes on the Tracer, and we just leave our Doom to dry. Okay. So with us being that this is 99, we should just get out and not feed any more alt charge. It's not like they have many alts for us to really pressure out. And also within that last fight, with us being at 99 and the Tracer touching, that kind of works in our favor. As soon as the Tracer goes to touch point, the rest of us should be going on their backline. Because either that'll force them to use, obviously, any defensive CDs, but also movement CDs to get to the point and fight in a fair 5v5. If they don't do that, then they're just going to take up the disadvantage fight, which is the 5v4 that's up top. We could have just let them cap, even if they get 10-15%. If we win the fight, we're still going to get the cap and be in a better position. Okay, so let's see how we take this. Going with no alts, except for Pulse. Again, I think in a fight like this, what we can do is save speed. Go one way or another, hard in a little bit, like if we're coming up the stairs, probably like don't go past where this Tracer is, but try to force abilities out of them, and if it doesn't, we look to speed back out, which means, again, ebb and flow. We use CDs, they use CDs back. We use alts, they use alts back, etc. So going in hard like that, if we do, it might force CDs. If it, best case scenario, it forces we get a pick, or we force CDs. Worst case scenario, they get a pick off on us. However, the neutral out of that is that we possibly force something, force positioning, either take space or they don't buckle and then they push back into us. When they do, we could save speed to get out, force the Doom to hard commit in. When he does, that's when we pulse and go on him. Or that forces an ult out of him. Okay, we're poking a lot here. We hard engage. I don't know where we threw pulse. Where did we throw pulse? Okay, so that was pulse. They used Suzu. That's still a good trade. Doom used ult. I don't think we should have jumped up here as Doom. Again, we want to go out in the open more than back that way, because our Lucio would still be able to reach us to speed back.
Meteor strike. Wait for it.
What was their cue to go in on that? Yeah, let me get a better angle. So our Doom goes in.
Time to drop the bomb.
We use Pulse. They use Meteor Strike and Suzu. They drop Meteor Strike. Doesn't force anything out of us except for slide. They use Punch. We use Block. Punch. We use Recall. We still do get the pick off.
Meteor strike.
Okay, we kind of stabilized here. The Lucio and the Tracer both gang up on our Sojourn, which then does it force a slide from us? Does force slide from us, which then our Lucio comes in to try and save our Sojourn. Sojourn still gets picked. When that happens, the Doom and the Tracer go back on our Kiriko, which forces Suzu. CP out. I don't know why we're over here. But hindsight, We flip map. Lucio's low. We get a great pick. So I think we're now even. Sojourn's about to come back, so we're not about to be even. So once our Tracer dies, I think we could beat this. Good, we do beat.
I'm here.
Do you think using beat preemptively there is better than saving it for Sojourn ult?
I think our hand was kind of forced with percentage starting to go up to being tied up. We just lost our Tracer. Their Sojourn was coming back. We kind of needed to use beat in order to go aggressively. I just not sure that we really focused anything and utilized it well enough. So again, that's.
I mean, they only have 88% on the point.
True.
I think we have to hard commit here.
So you think just soft disengage, just back up a little bit, keep the space that we got?
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. Or just back up. We can still have like high ground.
Right.
And then that buys us time for our tracer to get back.
Sure.
And that way we don't have to force the issue before we have to force the issue.
Fair.
This ends now.
Okay, they use overclock.
Prepare yourself.
Yeah, they'll just clean up, I think.
Vamos, escuracha! Rocket punch.
This ends now.
Okay, so B actually might have been able to save the point for that if we just didn't force the issue. However, I think at the moment, I don't think we were keeping track of respawns, and we thought with the pick up we just traded there, and that's why we might have beat. So maybe I don't know. Okay.
Ready for battle.
Bum, 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 bum. I mean, still, that was a great round. It was really close. Alright, so we decided to stick with the hog.
Ready for battle. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Wish I knew how they did that feature. Okay. We're all up. Studio goes on the flank, good. We take the space, but Studio dies. Probably wasn't best to rotate through this way. I think how we should go at this was our hog pushes through this way, Tracer pushes underneath where I'm at with the camera, and pinches on the steps. So I think the bulk of our team should have moved in a little bit faster when Studio was ready to go in. At the moment, we don't really need to worry about point, so calling for him to go to point and kind of contest point for us is fine normally. However, with the point not even unlocking, we should be going in for a full 5v5 neutral. I don't like coming out straight out of these stairs. That just gives them entire poke the entire way there. I think since we're already up in here, we could just come out through this door. There's a little bit more cover and push out this way.
This is your warning. Rocket punch. Hello.
Okay, I think this is where we call to go down mid. So if we're all calling to go right, Studio, most likely you're going to have to go the opposite way. Either by doing this, you're not only watching our backs for lane coverage, so thinking of how we're pushing in. If we're pushing in right side and our Tracer goes left, if their Tracer is flanking, we'll be able to at least call it that one, the Tracer's flanking, or be able to take the duel. depending on how we're feeling in the Tracer duel at that point. But instead of everyone going in this way, we don't have anyone to really. I guess it's more like a pre-warning in advance type of call for Studio or whoever else is behind.
Going somewhere?
Ready for a knockout?
Oh, that was so unlucky.
Back we go.
I think we go for same rotation. Okay, yeah. So this is when we did stack support ults. It's just kind of unlucky that we got punched out of it. Because that was like he was all the way up here at the window when Tusk gets punched and still affects Jet. So they used beat. Our answer was to beat back. They still haven't used Kitsune. We don't need to use beat, regardless of it getting canceled or not. We shouldn't have used beat that early. We need to wait for us to get a little bit more low before we use beat, as well as try and use it as in response to their kick call instead.
Wait for it.
So I think something else that we should probably look to change is when we're using hook. When we're playing specifically Hog into Doom, most of the fights that we have been using hook, at least from this map, it always seems that we're using hook at the start of the fight, and a lot of the times it has been onto the Doom, which that's not really going to help us much because that's just going to force the CDs to either get him out, use block and get out, etc., charge up a punch, whatever. I think we should try and save it for when he comes in instead. That way we have kind of a twofold approach on how to beat the dives that they throw at us when they come in. So when that Doom comes in, we're saving hook, or like I said, if we have pulse, we're saving pulse for when he blocks. And for the Tracer, that's just mainly focus fire, boop from Lucio, Suzu from Kiriko.
Also, one thing to add
Shit.
is that if we do need to be more patient with Hook, and instead of using Hook as he engages, we can Hook while he's power blocking. That way he doesn't get the damage mitt, and we pull him in and disrupting his best defensive ability.
No, best defenses is passive.
Ah, jeez.
But
I think that would be the better play instead of trying to hook him on engaged.
yeah, that's what I think we're both lined up with what we're saying, unless I just completely botched my wording when I said it. But yeah, instead of looking for the hook as the engage, we're just using primary, secondary on Hog just to poke out, and then once they commit to the dive, that's when we can use hook. But naturally with Hog, we should be able to take space through the threat of the hook. So we continue to take space, forcing them to actually dive in. And when they dive in, that's when we use something like hook to threaten that.
Yeah, we want to use it more reactively to what they're doing, and
Right.
not because, like you said, right, as soon as we throw the hook out, that threat is gone, which means that.
Sorry, I muted myself for when you were talking. So basically, what he said, anytime he comes in, we need to be more, not proactive. What was the word you used?
Patient.
Well, I mean, yeah, patient, but reactive. That was the word.
React.
Reactive to whenever they come in, and using hook to interrupt his abilities. Whether that's, if we can get a nasty hook from when he's punching out, or when he's using power block in order to interrupt that. But I mean, even though power block is his best defense, that's also when he's the most vulnerable to stuff like CCs, and to high burst damage onto him, because he's standing still. So hold on. Ugh. Spit back. So either way, that fight kind of worked. I mean, still worked out in our favor, even with the botch beat, because we still ended up trading those support ults. We ended up using his Doom ult, and DPS ults didn't really matter. So the big key in that fight was the fact that we traded out support ults. Again, I don't think we need to take much space here. If anywhere from how we're playing, Convinced and 10 want to kind of mirror how they're rotating. So if they're pushing through that drum, we're kind of pushing back either this way or, yeah, I'd say more this way. And trying to keep some distance, because that's forcing them to use their mobility cooldowns onto us. So at the moment, we're fine. So when the Doom comes in, hopefully we look to turn. Good, we do. Looks like we're waiting for the punch to come in. We rotate and flip the map. We go for the wrong hook target. Yes, if you get the Tracer, that's big, but most of the time just go for the easier hook target onto the Doom. Okay, you're turning your back to a good chunk of the team instead of just pushing forward naturally this way. You rotate it all the way around this way, which again still pushes the back to our team when compared to coming through this way, blocking LOS, still able to look at them while we push forward.
Disrupting. This ends now.
Trade that poorly. Jet, I think you were too far away. For the most part, you shouldn't be, when we have a hog, you shouldn't be playing with the Tracer. You should be trying to play in between the hog and backline, or if we're going a little bit more aggressively, the Tracer and the hog. So just a little bit too far forward there, when instead you should have been playing with the hog. We got a great pick.
What's up?
Studio frags.
Cooling down. Coming through.
Prepare yourself.
He's fine. Oh, might not. Okay, Studio, you're pushing too far to chase this. You going to Mega? You get a Pulse. Yeah, I wouldn't have used Pulse there. It's a little bit too late. Not too late in the fight. It doesn't really add anything, because one, they're not pushing in, and they're, in a sense, they're still regrouping as it is, just because look how far back the Kiriko is. Going in that deep and using Pulse was just more of a waste. If you would have gotten a pick, might change things, but again, it would still be more beneficial if you waited until they engage to go for that.
Yeah, because even if you land a stick, we still have to win one more team fight, and we're only at like 70%-ish, which means that they'll have plenty of time to get that one person back and regroup for a full last fight.
Right. Even if you had, no, it wasn't a big mistake. I'm not saying it was. It was just something small that by saving Pulse we would have been. It just gives us, think of it more as numbers. It just gives us a +1 for the next coming fight instead of using it there, which we did miss, but we didn't have to go overly aggressive. We already had won that fight. We were personally still waiting for respawns as well. It's more of just like neutral, both of us grouping up. Okay, with alts, they're up their DPS alts. However, we might have rush before they do. Did we have hook? Okay, we did have hook.
Meteor strike.
Okay, I think we were being a little bit too passive on that hook there. We do go a little bit too far forward. Convince is a little bit is out of position over there, but does trade it.
This end.
Jesus.
Overtime.
Ready for a knockout.
Okay, so I think we lost that fight because when we did hook the Doom and he was not hook the Doom, but when he was in on us when 10 was still alive, I don't think Studio was looking at him, and it was just our Sojourn and our Lucio and I guess Kiriko looking at him when it should have been all four of us looking at him. Or no, not even our Sojourn. It was just our supports and our Tracer that was left on point. But it's good. We are up in support alts, and that's pretty much it. But still, this should be our fight to win because I mean we're gonna have double support alts here. I don't remember if this is where we stacked them or if it was that other fight where we stacked them. I think it might have been this fight.
Yeah, I think it's this fight where we stack.
Mm-hmm. That's unlucky. Didn't have to touch in that early. Once it gets to about 97%, that's when we should really start to worry about getting a touch. So yeah, we stacked these on top way too.
Seismic shock.
Time to drop the bomb.
Okay, so yeah, still a great point.
Ready for battle.
All right.
Ready for battle. Ready for battle. Ready for battle. 1. Ready for battle.
Oh yeah, this is where we fuck up TP.
The objective is now active.
This is your warning.
Neutralizing projectile.
So their supports are playing really far away from our diva. We should be able to demech this diva here. And we have a fast run back. We get the pick. Good. So still on the brig. Good. Widow should be coming back. Yep, Widow's back. Okay, I mean, this Tracer's just getting free poke at the moment. Force pulse out.
So if the Tracer's getting free poke, how do we deal with that?
I mean, it was just that nobody was looking at her. She was up there, but she poked you out. She then started looking at Tusk, which then I think forced our Suzu, and it was just nobody was looking at her. Like, we don't necessarily need to deal with the Tracer. We just need to force her out. Whether that's even a minuscule thing of just looking at her is enough to put the pressure onto her, and throwing in fire with it and starting to poke her out with just primary. It should be enough to force her away.
Let's try something else. Three times the charm.
So, again, with us having control of the point, we dictate where we take these fights more than they do. We can entirely just give up point here and go either on the Widow or the Zen, since they're both alone. And if that's the case, that's when our supports use their mobility cooldowns to get into the fight with our team. So... Good. So again, we still into. Oh my word! What a shot! Yeah, just the two of us. We get out. So more in this fight, they have to try and play a little bit more reactionary because of the support line they're running. Obviously, this isn't going to be a comp we see very often, at least currently. But if we ever do run it into again, we need to be inting on their backline, especially because they're playing so split. If we have control of the point, we dictate where we take the fight. Let them be one man down when we dive onto their Zen or their Widow or whatever. Because, I mean, obviously that's just going to be one less person that they have to help peel. So, yeah. Okay, take this angle. We see the Widow. We're too slow to move on her. Like, I know at this point, I think, yeah, it was called, that the Widow was back this way, and none of us are moving towards her. Still takes forever to move towards her. Tusk doesn't even move towards her. We're very, very late with the Meteor Strike. Still get the good pick on her. Forces Trank. Alright, they're down DPS right now, and it's just supports and a tank versus 1 of 3. That was a good try and a great eat. Still disconnect, yeah, unlucky. We try to go in with our Doom. Like, that wasn't much of a disconnect, but it was enough that when we went in, no one else really followed up. Replay.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Okay, with us using sights, this is a great time for us to go aggro in. And I think we do, just nobody really follows up. Or we do follow up, but not everyone.
Meteor strike.
Here goes the
Alright, this is GG's for the rest of the map. I don't have KR, so we're just gonna go through Coliseo and Rialto for these last ones. What to start on? Go over Rialto. Okay, so this is the map where when I'm in, it's going to be more unorthodox comps and tanks, just because currently I don't play Doom like Tusk has. He's agreed to pick it up, and I've never played Hog, so I don't play Hog. So for this close hold, I was fine with where we were set up for the most part. We just need to play more play faster, because that's how they broke this close hold really quick. Don't worry about point, you guys just worry about the high ground and looking to peel for me when needed. So Jet, you did not need to play down here. The studio, same. Well, studio you can drop. That's fine. They make a great rotation up, which then catches us off guard. So they just forced high ground away from us. We should just be dropping the point and playing down here. Which we do. We go on to the SIG. Okay, and we make swaps. So normally I'd still think this is going to be a better map for Tusk than it is for me. Because of hero pool, I think on this map traditionally Rhine has been played quite a bit as less dive comps, which is what I tend to play a little bit more, and more poke brawl type of comps, which I play less, Orisa being the current now exception.
Hold it.
So I wanted to make this rotation all the way to the right to avoid any sightlines. When coming into this, yes, we know where the Sojourn is, but we don't know where the Widow is. So coming around this way kind of just negates that. If the payload had been back a little bit more, I would have preferred to go into this little room instead. Now the rotation we make, again, we still push through here. That was just a bad TP.
Do you mind going into specifics on why that was a bad TP?
Yep.
Hold it.
Why is this a bad TP? Specifics. There you go. All jokes aside, yeah, I mean, yes, that was a bad TP just because you're TPing right into their face. I don't really know how far back he was. Where? He's in the ether. I don't know where he is. Yeah. So, what we did force them into this choke, which is good for us. If we don't get picked here, instead of TPing right on the cart, I think what the aim is they sped back, and what you were trying to do was to TP more like towards what this hydrant is, to be able to get behind them. So maybe it was just a few mess ups here and there. But with them pushed all the way back into this choke, we don't need to chase this, and we don't need to play in sight lines of this. Our team, for the most part, with cart where it is, can just play right here and have a view of us, plus the cart is blocking their sight lines onto us, and that's for mainly our back line. And with three of them already over here, the Sojourn starting to make her way this way to rotate back, all we have to do is hold this choke. And if they push forward with a Reaper and an Orisa, one, we'll be able to keep them pigeonholed into this because of my CDs. But also, if they push forward, we just burn them with, with Reaper shotguns. Too early on Fortify. So just die on cart here if you're ever out like this. Good, you do make your way back to cart. But where we engaged wasn't necessarily where isn't where we're gonna be winning the fight. We're coming back with, obviously a little bit of an alt deficit, but also moving from swaps. So we're not looking. We're already coming in bad to that situation, but we shouldn't be trying to win that fight compared to this fight with. I know I said originally we rotated that way to avoid the sightlines because we didn't know where they were. But winning this, their DPS can never push forward, and we have both this room, that room, this wall right here, and this wall right here to play around, so that if they come forward, this is just the kill box. And especially with cart moving up, that still limits their sightlines. So this is the fight where we should be trying to hold and win this fight. So I think we do eventually call this Widow. Jet, as soon as that Widow's called, you should, and our Tracer's dead, you should try and pressure her out a little bit instead of staying with me. Because with a pick down, I'm not necessarily needed to push any forward. I just need to hold them off until we can restabilize, which currently we're not stabilized. Unlucky. We do get the pick on to them. Yo, great peel from Jet. Both onto the Widow, because you did exactly what I said before you did it, and coming back to at least try and help me out. If Studio doesn't die on the right side there and just watches that lane, so when playing on with this comp, the bulk of us, so mainly the four of us, will be looking at car. Studio, you just need to control this lane. Anywhere over here, even up top, since you do have access, and looking to poke out from here. If not, go for a pinch. The rest of us can just be playing on car. Just wait out sights here. Alright, we waited sights out. Now we go. Which they already made the swap, so.
Not so fast.
So not everyone necessarily needs to drop when I drop. Orisa is her how she gets the most value is through people focusing her. With all of her abilities, having the javelin as the stun to either knock them back or stun them out of important CDs, like for example, Sig's Rock, or maybe even Hog Hook, Hog Breather, etc. As well as having Fortify and the Spear Spin. I'm very tanky. And if they're looking at me, that's all the better for one, to pump in heals to me, as well as no pressure on our DPS. So when I drop, as long as our supports have sightline of me, the rest of us don't necessarily need to drop. I'm at the moment talking more 10 and convinced. Jet, you can drop and play close to me if needed, but also being able to peel back if needed. If we were able to play up here, I mean, this is kind of king on second point, is all of this high ground, this little bridge, and then, of course, these stairs over here is going to be the king of this map. We need to take these power positions in order to give us that leg up in the fight. If we would have stayed up here with our Sojourn, and our BAP probably would be playing more like right here on this, because one, you can still see me, as well as you can see our Sojourn. If our Sojourn chooses, which probably would have been a better play, is to poke from up here.
Question.
Yep.
Do you think Sigma is the objectively better tank to play here?
Are you talking about for defense or attack?
For both, realistically.
I think,
in my opinion, I think so.
I definitely think so for first point. Just because it's more wide open and I don't have much cover to hide behind. For this second point, yeah, I still say Sig is probably better for this map in general. I think I'm just focusing too much on this current situation, but yeah, Sig is still probably better for this map. That's why I said that most likely if we play this map, Tusk will be currently in meta.
Gotcha.
Fat lamp. So currently we heal up. Their Sig dies. We don't need to beat. Please don't. Okay, we don't have beat. I'm fine with lamp here. I'm not sure about where we place lamp. Honestly, we probably didn't even need lamp. Their junk was still coming back. I mean, yes, we traded for that junk, but with the Sig dying and them using beat, it's still a 3v4. I don't think we really needed to, and they weren't in much of a position to push forward. So amp probably wasn't needed there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Me not watching the kill feed.
So again, when talking power positions, this up top is definitely good right now. One, since we have overclock, all we gotta do is play up here, and once they start pushing across the bridge, the best time to use overclock when they're pushing in is probably like right here where I'm pointing, because that's either going to force them to commit or it's going to force them to back. Either way, they have a long way to back, or if they commit, then they're still committing into an overclock. So all of us should have taken high ground with this. This is where I make the bad call and do the bad thing. Not the best pulse. when we're using pulse, try and look for more of a flanky type of thing, not just going in and eating it like that. It's much more anticipated compared to coming around the back and just tagging a Lucio, Kiriko, etc. with that. Yeah, I was too far forward. I use alt. Bad alt. Great lamp. Yeah, that I shouldn't have been there. That's my fault. Good. Yeah, I was just feeding on defense. I think they get cap all the way through, yeah.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Universum singt für mich!
Yikes. That's right. Yeah, I went in too deep.
Barrier has been overwhelmed.
Great staggers. We burn the clock down a little bit. I think this is where they switch to the hog. Yeah, we don't have to be playing so far back. We want to try and play up here because again, where I am and this area is more the power position currently. Once it gets into the second point, that's where it's a little bit more iffy. There's not much of a power position, and it's definitely more on even footing. But if we're playing from up here, we pretty much have sightline of all angles, whether that's going to be coming from up there, down below, this right door, or even this left door. Because our focus will be like this. Oh no, they matched the doom, that's right.
Wait for it.
Stay put.
Meteor strike. Rocket.
60 seconds remaining.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we won that fight pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
What could we have done better?
So coming into the fight, we do have alt advantage, mirrored comps. I think for the most part we positioned well.
Stay put.
Okay, they use overclock. Where is their Sojourn's up top? Let me see if this angle works better.
Wreck the earth.
Doom comes in. We use Kiriko ult. They mirror. I mean, everyone's kind of focus firing the same area.
Meteor strike.
Just poking out. I think number one thing would be to take space. I mean, once we got the pick onto the junk, we should be pushing forward instead of just playing back here. And we might have been able to get more of these staggers than we did, I think. Meaning we probably would have been able to kill the Kiriko. Yeah, just because it takes so long to get forward, we probably should have been able to play up further. Focus fire looked pretty good. We were able to kind of not block out, but negate a lot of what the Sojourn wanted to do with that overclock. With her being in the window, she has all of these sight lines to look to be able to get shots off for, which in theory should have pushed us back, but because I think it was me and Jet were pushing forward, I think I punched her and knocked them off and down here, I think is what happened. Not 100% sure. But again, we were using our CDs to... We traded CDs for alts in that situation, and then eventually we traded my Meteor Strike for it.
60 seconds remaining.
But overall, I mean, 2 alts for what? The 2 that they used? That's pretty good trade. And still ended up building more alts than what they did. I don't think there was a whole lot more that we could have done better. I think it was probably just the taking space part that we didn't capitalize on well enough. But focus fire looked pretty well right there.
What's the rush?
Great pick, great pick.
30 seconds remaining.
Instantly we speed in. Good. This is what I mean by capitalizing on that space. Which we do much better.
seconds.
So coming into this next fight, we use Tyre early. So I think they end up winning this fight. So we look to peel off the Doom. We pop. No, they pop Tyre. So we should have popped Tyre earlier.
This ends now.
And we shouldn't have used Sojourn ult. We should have just been able to use Tyre once they push in, because they're forced to still touch point to continue this on. And if we pop Tyre, that's gonna it's gonna put a lot more pressure on them, with causing them to make mistakes, and again giving us a leg up in the fight, which let's just rewind a little bit.
10 seconds remaining.
Okay, so as soon as the Doom charges punch, that's when we use our ult. We look to peel.
This ends now.
Shouldn't have popped that. Didn't need the beat right there. Are just moving forward passively and healing me. With Tyre, they're not going to look to peek. They're going to be looking to hide. Their Doom has point control at the moment, so they don't necessarily need to peek out. We didn't need to use beat there.
Meteor strike.
Big Tyre. No, we don't. They don't cap. That's right.
Seismic shock.
Overall, a good fight, but that could have turned a lot worse if Studio didn't. I mean, let's be honest, clutch up with the 2K Tyre and then following up with the picks. Ah, come on! I lost server, lost connection to server. Let me know if my stream drops. Fuck. So thinking back onto the first and second point of Rialto, I know overall the scrim did not feel great. I think we can all agree on that. But I think these maps seem to be a lot closer than what they were. If a fight here or there changes, like winning a fight on first or second and playing smartly, they kind of snowballed through first, which then kind of turned out to be through second, minus that one fight. However, I threw ult, and that just didn't work out very well for us. But that map still, at least for our defense, seemed a lot closer than all rights than what it looked like. I think attack is where everything kind of seems to fall apart more. Can y'all hear me still? I'm still in the video voice chat, right? Hello, testing. The fuck? Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Weird. It says the broadcast is still going too.